The sun was setting over the dry lands of Burkina Faso, painting the sky orange and gold. A convoy of black cars rolled down the dusty road near a small farming village just outside Ouagadougou. People stood by the roadside, waving their hands as the vehicles passed. In the middle car sat Captain Ibrahim Traore, the president of Burkina Faso. He was returning from a meeting with local leaders about food security. As they passed through the village, Ibrahim noticed a woman sitting alone on the side of the road. She was holding a baby in one hand, and her other hand was gently wiping tears from her face. Behind her were two small children, barefoot, with sad, empty eyes. He tapped the shoulder of his driver. "Stop the car," he said quietly. His bodyguards looked surprised, but they obeyed. The convoy came to a halt, raising clouds of dust. Ibrahim stepped out, wearing his military uniform. The woman looked up in shock, trying to wipe her tears quickly. "My sister," he said gently, walking up to her. "What is your name?" She stood slowly, her voice shaking. "My name is Hawa, Mr. President. My husband was a soldier. He died last year in the north, fighting the terrorists." Ibrahim's face changed. He looked at her children, who stared at him silently. "And now you live like this?" he asked. She nodded, holding back more tears. "They told me I would receive help, money from the government, but I got nothing. The children are hungry every day. I tried farming, but the land is dry. No water, no seeds. I sold my last goat to buy food." Ibrahim was quiet for a moment. Then he clenched his fists. "Did you go to the local office for support?" he asked. "I went many times," she said. "They told me it's on the way. But it never came." He looked at his aide. "Find out who is in charge of the support program in this area. Tonight." He knelt down to speak to the children. "Your father was a hero, and heroes' children should never sleep hungry." Hawa's tears flowed freely now. "No one ever came. No one ever cared," she whispered. Ibrahim stood up. His voice was calm but strong. "That ends today. I will come back, and we will make this right." That night, as the stars appeared over the village, the people whispered among themselves, "The president came. The president stopped. The president saw." But for Hawa, it was the first time someone in power had looked into her pain and promised to bring justice. The next morning, before the sun rose, President Ibrahim Traore sat in his office in Ouagadougou, his eyes dark with worry. He couldn't sleep. The image of Hawa and her children haunted him. He called for an emergency meeting with his advisors and ministers. "I want a full report," he said sharply, "on every widow and child of fallen soldiers. I want names, villages, payments, everything. And I want to know why this woman received nothing." The room fell silent. Some ministers shifted uncomfortably in their seats. A few hours later, a thick file landed on his desk. It was full of numbers, receipts, and lists of beneficiaries. According to the papers, Hawa had already received 2 payments, enough to support her for at least a year. "She never saw a single coin," Ibrahim said coldly. He stood up, voice rising. "So, who took the money?" The investigation moved fast. It didn't take long to find the middleman, a local official in charge of distributing funds. He had faked Hawa's signature. He had pocketed the money meant for widows and orphans. Worse, it wasn't just Hawa. There were dozens of other women, alone, forgotten, lied to. Ibrahim was furious. The next day, on national television, he addressed the country. He didn't wear a suit. He wore his military uniform, as he did on the battlefield. "To the people of Burkina Faso," he said, "I visited a widow yesterday. Her husband died protecting this country. But the money we promised her was stolen. The pain in her eyes broke my heart, and it broke my trust in those around me." He looked into the camera. His voice was steady, but filled with anger. "Let it be known. The days of stealing from the poor are over. I have ordered the arrest of the official involved. He is now in prison, and this is just the beginning." That same week, several corrupt leaders were removed from office. Some were arrested, others resigned in shame. Ibrahim gathered his cabinet. "Listen to me carefully," he said. From today forward, every minister will be responsible for what happens in his department. You must know who receives what and how. If one coin goes missing, the chain of command will be broken, and the head will roll." He paused. "We cannot build a new Burkina Faso with dirty hands." The room was silent. No one dared to speak. Later that day, Ibrahim returned to the village. True to his word, he brought bags of food, school supplies for the children, and a small water tank for Hawa's farm. But more than that, he brought justice. And for the first time in a long time, Hawa smiled. She looked at him and said, "My husband would be proud to know that his sacrifice was not forgotten." The rains were late that year. The ground in Hawa's village was dry and cracked, just like the hearts of many families who had lost their loved ones in the war. But after President Ibrahim Traoré's visit, something began to change, not just in Hawa's home, but across the country. True to his promise, Ibrahim didn't forget. Within days, engineers arrived in the village to dig a deep well. Water flowed again. Trucks brought tools, fertilizer, and fresh seeds for the women who had once been left behind. They called the new program Hope for the Fallen, and Hawa? She became the first to plant those seeds. One early morning, barefoot in the wet soil, she knelt with her children and began planting. Her hands were tired, her body still weak from many hard months, but her heart was full. Ibrahim arrived quietly that afternoon, without a big convoy, wearing plain clothes and no guards. He walked with Hawa through the field. "I see green," he said with a smile. "I see hope," Hawa replied. He helped her carry a basket of seeds, and the children ran around him laughing, no longer afraid, no longer hungry. They were just kids again. But it wasn't only about farming. Ibrahim had sent teams of teachers to open a small school in the village. One classroom, one blackboard, one big dream. "I want my son to become a soldier like his father," Hawa said, "but not to die, to protect, to live." Ibrahim nodded. "And I want your daughter to become a leader, a doctor, a minister even." He looked up at the hills. "This country must rise from the graves of its heroes." News of Hawa's story spread like fire. Other widows wrote letters to the president. Farmers came forward with stories of broken promises, missing funds, and empty visits by men in suits. But now things felt different. In the capital, Ibrahim passed a new law. Every fund for families of fallen soldiers would be handled by a clean, direct system. No middlemen, no paper lies. A new department was made, run by women who had lost loved ones themselves. Who better to protect the next Hawa? He spoke again to the nation. "We cannot fix every problem overnight. But when we see a mother suffer because of our silence, we must choose. Do we turn away, or do we turn the page?" And just like the land under Hawa's feet, a new chapter was beginning to grow. Months passed. The seasons changed. And where there was once dust and sorrow, green fields now danced in the wind. Hawa's farm had become a symbol, a quiet revolution, planted by pain but watered by truth. President Ibrahim Traore kept coming back, not with speeches or cameras, but as a man who had made a promise and would never forget it. One afternoon, he sat outside Hawa's small house, watching her children chase chickens through the yard. They looked stronger now, fuller, brighter. Hawa brought him a cup of tea. "You remembered us," she said quietly. "I made a vow," he replied, "not just to you, but to every family like yours." She looked at him closely. "Is it hard, carrying the whole country?" He gave a tired smile. "Some nights I can't sleep. I see the faces of fallen soldiers. I read letters from mothers and children. I wonder if I'm doing enough." "You are," she said, "because you came. That's more than most ever did." Later that evening, Ibrahim stood once again before his cabinet. But this time, he brought Hawa's story with him. "This woman," he said, holding up a photo of her with her children, "was failed by the system, but she also helped us fix it." He walked slowly around the room. "Every minister in this room must know exactly what is happening in their department. No more lies, no more pretending not to see. If something goes wrong, You are responsible. I will not protect the corrupt. I will not stay silent." He paused, then raised his voice. "Our people are not just numbers. They are souls, and when we forget that, we lose the right to lead them." From that day, a new policy was introduced, the family's first act. Under it, every widow, every orphan of a fallen soldier would have a direct link to the government, a real voice, real support, real respect. Hawa was invited to speak at the ceremony. She stood shyly at the podium, her voice soft but clear. "My husband died in silence, but today I speak in his place. I thank the president not just for helping me, but for listening. That's all we ever wanted." The crowd stood and clapped, not just for her, but for the journey, the broken system, the exposed lies, and the man who chose to stop his convoy for one woman crying by the roadside. And so, across Burkina Faso, Hawa's story lived on, in every school built, every well dug, every child fed. It wasn't just about justice. It was about dignity, and a leader who proved that one act of kindness can grow into a promise that never dies.